Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. So today I decided to make a video on what I think is going on with the market and where we could potentially go to from here. I decided to just go over some of the analysis with you all together and to just brainstorm together a little bit about it. So before I get into crypto side of it, I just want to take a look at the index market first. That was my practice a little bit. So let's take a look at a couple of things here. What do we have? So the arcs that I drew are basically the arcs on the previous recession. So we have 2001 recession, we have 2008 recession, and if we're entering a new recession here, then we should also draw a similar arc. Now, right from looking at it, you can see a slight difference. 2001 had the largest arc. If we measure out the length of the recession, we go from the top to roughly the bottom. We get around, well, that's not real. Hold on, let me measure that again. The top can be considered any of these. I'll just consider here to give it a little bit of benefit of a doubt for us. The bottom, I would say here, right before the price recovery sequence. So if we measure that out, we're looking at around 50% down, 48% or so. And we're looking at an 882-day period of just horrible price action with some intermittent ups, but overall trend is down. Trend reversal didn't happen until 880 something days later. So that was the first recession in 2001. Then we had the recession in 2008. Let's take a look at this one. The top is somewhere around here. And then the bottom, you can clearly see over here before we started recovering. So now we're looking at 58% retracement. So it was slightly bigger, 8% larger, worse scenario than in 2001. But it was significantly shorter, around half the time of 2001 or 2000 recession. So that's good and bad news. All right, so we have a shrinking timeline for the recession, which is great, but also we have a steeper price difference, which is not so great. So if we are entering a recessionary period right now, let's take a look how that would play out over here. I'm gonna make it a little larger so it's easier to see. Okay, so the top was somewhere around here. Yeah. Let's just go back a little bit just to give it a little bit of a boost. And where we are right now. So we're only 22% down and only 182 days into the recession. So realistically, we're not even halfway through. But if we follow the previous two patterns, then we should expect a further than 58%. But let's just give it a benefit of a doubt and let's just put 58% just to stay a little bit more positive. Previous recession lasted 400 something days. If we're looking at this, but we're not even halfway through, then realistically we're looking at another 400-day recession before the price recovery period. Really, you can't really shrink more than that because of the price action where it is right now. So really, if we're halfway through, then the next candle should look really horrible. If we want to retain 400-day, or in this case 365-day, just 1 year downtrend, just bad price action. So really, I'm trying to look at this optimistically, and even so, it tells me that we're in for a hell of pain if we are in a recessionary period. Now, if we're not in a recessionary period, if it's more like a blip, what we had in March 2020, You can see the price action pierce the moving averages and then quickly recovered. Now recovery would certainly not be as quick as that because the downfall wasn't as quick as that either. We have a more prolonged period of downfall over here, just horrible price action. We are close to the piercing the moving averages, so this could indicate that the bottom is not too far out. However, that is giving the most positive, optimistic scenario, right? So you can see the arc would actually indeed be much lower. We're looking at going further down before the price action starts recovering into the next phase. So really 2023 fall is what we're looking at. If this is recessionary period, roughly around that timeline, fall or winter of 2023, where we can start seeing the bottom and the price recovery happening. At least from what I can see so far. Now let's compare that to the crypto market. It's all about that Bitcoin. So, whoops, let's remove you. So if we look at Bitcoin, we can't really compare it to the recession. So I see a lot of TA analysts, they're focused on the moving averages line. The fact that we bounced off of it several previous downfall periods and bear markets, such in 2019, March blip. Both times we touched or pierced the moving averages, 200-day weekly moving average, and then bounced up from that point. Now, none of those times were during recessionary period. We have data starting 2011. We don't have data. There was no trading, as far as I know, public trading of Bitcoin in 2008. Not on exchanges like this. So we can't really compare it to that as comparing apples to oranges, really. So we can only look at the best case scenario. If it's the best case scenario, where we're not in a recessionary period, but in actuality, we're just looking at another bear market cycle, then we have some evidence to point that we are around the turnaround point. You can see it appears here, it appears there, and this is what I've seen a lot on YouTube going on. But I don't think that's the case. We did have a pandemic, which was global phenomena back in March 2020, and you can see that effect over here, but it wasn't the beginning of the bear market yet. Right now we have a war going on, we had Evergrande collapse, we have a chain of reaction going on the market. So really, to me, it's pointing a lot more towards the recessionary period. And if so, let's see how much we retraced so far. So far Bitcoin retraced, all right, around 67, 68% or so. And it took 212 days for this to happen. Let's compare that to the previous bear market cycle. Until recovery, it took 427 days and 83% retracement. But keep in mind, this happened when not at the recession time, not when our equities market was being pulled down during the recession. And that's what we're starting to see right now. So let's say if we're going to assume the best case scenario that it's not a recession, but we're looking at a similar retracement as the previous bear market, which was 83%, 427 days. So let's map that out, right? 83%, okay, and 400, let's just do 426 days. So now we're looking at the price of Bitcoin at $11,354 or so, and that it would reach that price by January 2023. So we're basically looking at a downtrend until next year, before the price recovers. And this is going to be well below the moving averages that we have right now, well below that. So this is the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, recession pulls us down even further, and we have another year until fall or winter of 2023 of continuous downward price pressure. Now, we do have different players right now. We have institutional players and so on and so forth, but don't think that institutional players are never going to sell. There is a point, a threshold, that they're not willing to keep holding the asset past that. Otherwise, it would be irresponsible for on investor part for them to do that. So, really, to me, from what I can see right now, best case scenario, we're looking at 11K Bitcoin. Worst case scenario, we're looking at a much further down than that. I can't tell you what it is because we just don't have the data. We did not have crypto market on public exchanges like we have right now existing during the previous two recessions. So we really don't have anything to go off of. We also didn't have as much institutional money in the play as we did, as it was, back in 2011 or so. So there's really not enough data to make conclusions. But the best case scenario is Bitcoin, that this is not the end of the downfall of the price point. And that being said, are the alts going to follow the same course of action and continue to fall down? I'm not sure about that. Bitcoin has been losing dominance. If you look, let's compare to Solana, right? I've been very surprised with Solana price action at this point, considering how far Bitcoin down. Let's switch from month to week. Considering how much Bitcoin is down, Solana has been actually holding up right now. But realistically, I wouldn't be surprised to see it go down to some really significant low levels. So right now we're at the level that we were in going by logarithmic chart compared to July 2021. And if the indication that the Bitcoin is not even halfway through dumping, then it's likely that Solana will follow. So we might see Solana in the teens. Who knows? It's hard to tell. There's not a lot of data, but what it is easy to tell is that if this is the next recession, what it's starting to look like, then this is not by any means over. We're looking for further down action. If you do have any evidence of more bullish sentiment, please let me know. Send me any bullish information, any bullish indication that this can be just a bear cycle and not a recession. I'd love to examine that evidence and put that into my calculations as well. You can put it in the comments, you can send me a personal message, however you'd like to do it. I'd like to take a look at it, and let me know what you think about this quick analysis of what's going on, just viewing of these charts. Don't hold me to this. I'm just having fun looking at charts and trying to make sense of it like everybody else, I think, in the current climate. But I love different opinion, so I'd like to hear yours as well. That's it for now. See you next time.